Greetings, children. Welcome from near and far. So, let me guess. You're here because you want to hear my tale, huh? Everyone does. Well then, sit back, relax, chill, eat some snacks, but prepare. Because this tale, this story, holds many things. Murder, death, regret, a god how do I say it? A god disorder, and a god personality disorder, or a godlike disorder, where you would think, where basically the person who has this disorder basically thinks they're and basically they think of everything as beneath them, But this tale also holds more, much, much more. Crossovers, great battles, friendship, betrayal, murder, power, lust, greed, pride, and much, much, much more. But before we begin, some rules. I do not own Demon Slayer, Naruto, My Hero Academia, Dragon Ball, One Piece, or any other anime. The only thing I do not own any music. I do not own anything. I do not own anything such as photos, music, or animes. The only things I own are my voice, my story, and my OC. So, without any further ado, roll the intro. Let us begin this tale many years ago. And I mean a great many. Long ago, there was in a beautiful land, or beautiful place called Japan. There was a beautiful, quiet kingdom, and within that kingdom was a beautiful, tall, and dominant temple, or castle, I guess one could say. This castle was home to a royal family. a very powerful royal family. In other words, this was the home for the emperor and his wife and or concubines and children. But this was not any ordinary castle or temple. Oh no, this place would be known as the birthplace of all evil, or the birthplace of monsters. There was a man, the prince, or the son of the emperor who lived there, was named Muzan Kibutsuji. Muzan Kibutsuji was a very powerful man, and was a very, not powerful per se, just a very physically strong but intelligent man. However, he suffered from a terrible disease, one that would kill him when he reached adulthood. And so, the disease coursed through his veins and blood each and every day, seeming as if it would kill him. This illness, this sickness, his parents, mainly his mother, looked for a cure. His father felt disgraced that his heir was flawed with this great disease that they knew no cure of. But one day, a kind and mysterious doctor came to the Kibutsuji residence. Saying that if he was given enough time, he could create a possible cure for Muzan Kibutsuji. The royal family, aside from the father, was delighted. The emperor didn't want to believe in such fairy tales. And even if it did work, he would still think of his son as a weakling, as a flaw. And what kind of country, what kind of nation could have a flawed person as their ruler? That would be an immediate sign of weakness. At least, that is what the emperor thought. After a couple of years, Muzan had a family, a small one, as he wanted to at least pass on his lineage if he did not survive. He did not care for his wife / concubine. He only cared for his child, a daughter. Her name and face, along with everything else, was forgotten to time and history. However, what is remembered is only very vague details. She had long black hair, plum red eyes, not slitted. And by the way, you'll know why I said that later. A beautiful smile, fair peach skin, and around a very formidable height. In other words, she was 5'10". Now, As an adult, of course, she was 5'10". Now, not much else was known other than she was Kibutsuji's daughter. And, according to the man himself, there is no one he loved more in the entire world back then than his daughter. He, in his eyes, was the only other person he cared about, other than himself, of course. But one day, when the test finally came, the doctor presented Muzan with a unfinished medicine. Instead of waiting for the medicine to be finished, Muzan was greedy and impatient. Instead, he drank the incomplete form of medicine, transforming him into a terrifying beast. One that had no true definite form, or at least that is known of. One that fed off of flesh and blood and bone and all other organic material. One that had eyes which pierced like shining red rubies in the night. A creature that could shape its form into anything it dare pleased, that could devour anything it wanted in a matter of moments. A creature that had only one weakness: sunlight. If it was in the sunlight too long, it would burn up and perish. But even as this terrifying creature, he still cared for his daughter, although he could no longer see her. His father deemed Muzan a monster, a beast, a demon, an oni. And instead of welcoming back to the royal family, Muzan's name was forgotten from history. He was forgotten from not only history, but also time itself. History books telling of Muzan were burned or locked away. Anything telling of his heritage was forgotten, burned, or destroyed on sight, as the emperor did not want to be known as the father of this terrifying beast, this freak of nature. And so he was forgotten for millions upon millions of years. Until one day, we're not talking about that yet. Eventually, even though he was not allowed to see his daughter, he still cared for her greatly. He did not barge in and destroy everyone in his pathway just to get to his daughter, he knew that if he tried that, he would traumatize his daughter, and he did not want that. But one day, just one day, when she was older, around the age of adulthood, it was revealed that she did not have the curse which Kibutsuji was born with. Finally, Muzan said, with glee and happiness in his voice, as he thought that his daughter could live a peaceful life if she wanted, or she could become a terrifyingly powerful demon, just like Muzan. But it was her choice. So, one day, the only day he would see her without any palace guards or anything like that, he made his move. He appeared to his daughter and told her who he was, told her why he was there, and why he could not have been there for her during her childhood. He then offered her to become a demon, a feared creature that no one could mess with. But she politely declined, saying that if she was a demon, while yes, she would be stronger and she would be feared, but she would not be able to know, but she would not be able to know the feeling of having her own family, of living up till her body would simply just perish. And so, as saddened as he was, Muzan allowed for this to happen, and for her to be human, or stay human. Oh, what a fool he was back then. A week later, it had been told to Muzan that a group of demon slayers and a group of strong demon slaying, and a group of very powerful swordsmen, known as demon slayers or Hashira, had spied on his conversation with his daughter and thought that he turned her into a demon. And so they murdered her per their rules and per the laws. This infuriated Muzan to grow an endless hate towards not only the demon enslayers who killed his daughter, not only the entire demon slayer corps, and I'm the entire demon slayer corps. No, instead, and while yes, he grew an immense hate for for all demon slayers and the demon slayers who murdered his daughter in cold blood. He grew an immense hate for the descendants of the very demon slayers who did so. But of course, what Muzan did know, was that his daughter already had a family, a human family. And eventually, they grew into a clan which feared being hunted by demon slayers for information, or even being related to Kibutsuji as a hate crime. And so, what they did was simple. They created a false name, Miramoto, and decided to live under that alias for the time being. Eventually, generation after generation after generation after generation, the Kibutsuji clan was forgotten to time and history, believed to be wiped out. But little did anyone know that the Kibutsuji clan had lived on as the Miramoto clan, now just a small family, as most of the clan was cursed, and as most of the entire clan, just like Kibutsuji was cursed, with bearing the terrible illness which killed them all when they reached adulthood. But from what Muzan had learned over the generations, it only affected the males of the clan. The females would live for as long as they wanted, and for as long as their bodies would allow them. But the males, they would be cursed with this and would die when they reached adulthood. A terrible fate that Muzan was upset at, that he had given birth to his daughter, who in turn spreaded this to many other, and who in turn created an entire clan that was being wiped out by their own blood. This depressing fact saddened the monster himself. But one day, a Kibutsuji was born with two weird differences. One, he was not born with the terrible disease that would kill his entire male clan. However, his siblings, who were males, were killed when they reached even teenage age, as it had seemed that the further the bloodline, and the further and longer the bloodline had become, the worse and worse the clan's disease became. And so, the one who was born without the disease, he had 4 sisters and had 10 sisters in total. And a strange mark on his face. Hold on. Oh dear heavens. Nicholas the Kibutsuji child, was also born with a, peculiar marking on his face. It seemed to be a copy, not an exact one, but extremely close to that of another demon, of a very powerful demon slayer, whose name was Yorichi. Yorichi was a very powerful demon slayer who lived about 100 years ago. And who lived about maybe 400 years ago. It was it wasn't really known at the time. But one thing that was known was he had a strange fire-shaped marking on his head. And he was born with it, while others, who he trained with, gained it. He was born with it. The same thing for the Kibutsuji boy, but instead of his mark being red, being a dark shade of red, it was pitch black. Very strange. The child also, with the gift of immunity to his family's disease, along with the gift of this mysteriously amazing looking mark, he was also gifted with he was also given some drawbacks, alike Yorichi. A child did not have all of his senses. Unlike Yorichi, however, instead of not being able to speak, the child could not hear, speak, feel, taste, or even smell. For his entire childhood, the child went off of simply what his soul told him, or more such, what his aura or presence told him. And without his five senses, the boy was also gained a legendary new sixth sense, the ability to be able to, in a way, feel or sense someone's aura or presence in a way. But it was not only for people, but objects and other animals as well. This was how the child got around. He almost always had his eyes closed, as they were ruby red, but it was believed that, he believed, even from what he could sense, that his red eyes were bad, that red eyes were a curse. So he kept them closed almost all the time, with a bandana, and with a sort of headband, and covering them, almost always. But when he reached the ripe young age of 10, he soared. His skills, intelligence, and understanding of everything became far superior to that of anyone before him. It was even questioned if his skills without a sword were as good as that of Eurydice. One day, his eldest sister wanted to see, his eldest sister, who was a professional swordsman, wanted to see if he could even wield the blade correctly. So, she gave him a blade, which she stole from a nearby mountain. It was nothing much, which she stole from not exactly a nearby mountain, more such a nearby village, which made blades, for some strange reason. When she gave him the blade, to see what he was capable of, it lit ablaze with two different colors. One, a sort of purplish red color, but two, a divine gold color. The blade, the sharp part of the blade, became purple, while the blade itself while the middle part of the blade was black, with gold on it. A black, gold, and purple blade. Quite an oddity to any who would come across it. The child, however, instead of marveling at the blade like his family did, he simply got into position and got into a stance which he simply felt was the best. The young 10-year-old was prepared to fight, and having just a couple of months ago awoken his five senses, the child was ecstatic to see what he could do, what he could possibly do. And so the child rushed at his sister, without the intent to kill, of course, and with the intent to kill, of course. However, instead of the blade being unsheathed, because this was a spar, the blade was entirely sheathed. the reason why he went his sister with the intent to kill is, well, his sister wanted to see what he is capable of, his full possible potential for right now. And it was no pushover. His skills were very reminiscent to that of a demon slayer of legend, of old, really. Possibly even the same skill level or even greater than that of the demon slayer, heir of legend. No matter what his sister could do, if she did one swing, during the time it would take her to do one swing, he would already have done 100. He was incalculably fast. And incalculatable hateably fast. No one could even match him in speed. Even when it came to the blade, and to the skills of the blade, his martial arts were also nothing to joke at. The child was a prodigy in everything that came before him. Let it be intelligence, martial arts, kenjutsu, kenjutsu, anything. The child would destroy it. And so, over time, it was known throughout most of Japan of the tale of the white-haired phantom, or wraith, as they called him. The white-haired wraith. A 10-year-old, a very child, who could beat any swordsman, any martial artist, and any strategist or tactician who came before him. Muzan, of course, heard of this and did not know who this child was, but began to fear that it had been some sort of reincarnation of Yoriichi. But he simply let the thought die down, as it was a 10-year-old, and surely he could find the child and kill him before he was able to do anything, right? We skip 5 years later. The family had to move. We skip 3 years later. The family, of course, had to move due to too much attention being drawn to them. They once again were undercover, and this fame which the Miyamoto name and gained over that time faded away. Finally, some peace. At least that's what they thought. Little did the Miyamoto clan know that while they had just settled in and moved far away from their old home, a group of demon slayers had found a group of, Kinoe to Mizunoto demon slayers had found them, thinking that they were a family of demons, because clearly no human could have as much strength as the child did, right? No human. They clearly thought of it as a demon, with some sort of illusion making it look human. And so what they did would soon be their greatest mistake of their lives. These beginner demon slayers murdered the entire Miyamoto clan. However, little did they know that the boy, the white-haired child, survived. And so, over time, he moved once more, far away, of course, into a not very populated region. He built himself his own house out of bamboo and wood. And thinking that it was demons who ate his and who killed his family, or some random murderers or robbers, he simply took up the mantle of a demon slayer, as he knew that demons were murderous creatures, highly murderous, and if it was a demon or human that murdered his family, demons were still evil creatures, right? They could not be spared. They were too evil, too destructive, too vile to be kept alive. And so, the child trained himself under the guise of, well, himself. And just like that, over a span of 2 to 3 years, the child created himself his own type of breathing style. Black Sun Breathing was its name, and was the original name. It was a skill which quickly astounded the entire Demon Slayer Corps and shook the very foundation of demons. Black Sun Breathing? A six-eyed demon thought from his room within the Infinite Palace. How is such a thing even possible? Infinite. My Yoriichi couldn't even achieve a different color of sun breathing. He only had sun breathing, which was still very powerful and very terrifying to face. How is it possible that a child, a mere human, was able to gain a power greater than that? As according to what even the Hashira, and to what even the Master of the Demon Slayers and the Hashira themselves had spoken and had basically talked of or spoken of. His sword appeared to move. The boy's body appeared to move in inhuman motions to the point where you couldn't even see him until he was done attacking. A blur, a flash, something moving at the speed of light, they thought. And, well, they'd be right. The child was somehow able to move at inhumanly great speeds, with inhumanly great strength, speed, and skill, along with intelligence. Muzan, however, not knowing that this was one of his own family members, grew jealous as his entire life he tried to become the perfect creature, the perfect being. He grew jealous of this human for being able to accomplish more than Yoriichi himself. As according to Muzan, while Yoriichi was on another level of speed, strength, and skill, this child makes Yoriichi sound like a child. And from what he'd heard of course, at least. In truth, it was unknown who was stronger, Yoriichi or the child. And no one wanted to test it out. Hell, no one wanted to see if they could resurrect you, if resurrecting Yoriichi was even possible, and if that was, no one wanted to see if Yoriichi could kick their ass, and if, well, Yoriichi could beat this child or this child could beat Yoriichi, because, in all fairness, that would be a entire village, no, city, no, a entire, or basically nation destroying in battle. And no one liked that. And so, they quickly dismissed the idea of Yoriichi fighting the 15-year-old. Eventually, the child rose up the ranks, becoming the Black Sun Hashira. Now, Muzan had recently found out that his descendants actually were still alive, under the guise of the Miyamoto clan. But recently, they were murdered by demon slayers, just like his daughter. This infuriated Muzan with so much wrath, and filled him with so much wrath that it simply was too much for any creature to handle. His wrath, his rage, his anger destroyed everything in his path, until he found out a secret which had been hidden for an entire 15 years. The white-haired demon slayer with bright red ruby eyes, long white hair, and a black demon slayer mark. Instead of being some sort of reincarnation of Yoriichi, he was simply a descendant of Muzan himself. Muzan quickly overcame his jealousy towards the human, and instead cheered in joy that not only did he have a descendant living, a member of the Kibutsuji clan and's blood pumping. Oh no. He was also glad that this child had achieved perfection. That while his human body would simply deteriorate over time, it was basically the missing half that Muzan needed, or wanted, in a way. His blood. After all, the child was stronger, faster, smarter, and more skilled than any demon slayer or demon before him. He was viewed to be the ultimate prodigy. Muzan himself began to think that his descendant was stronger than Yoriichi. And instead of thinking him as a monster, or like he thought Yoriichi, he began to think of him as some sort of god, or savior sent from the heavens, some sort of sign from his daughter. And then he realized what he must do. He must preserve this perfection. But while he still wanted to gain perfection, to be immune to the sun, he knew that if he was to devour the child, while he could possibly gain immunity to the sun and possibly gain power unimagined, what then? He would have no other family, no other blood or relation, no other reminder of his daughter. And so he settled on it. He would continue on his search for the blue spider lily, or one of Yorichi's descendants. But he would also turn the child into a demon. That way, he could protect himself from the pain of illness, age, and death. He believed that due to this possibly stronger form of sun breathing, it would allow him to be immune to the sun. And it would allow the boy to be immune to the sun. This made Muzan smile evilly. And so, he had made his choice. He would go to the Amaterasu mansion, which was the name of where the Black Sun Hashira lived. And he would simply tell the boy everything about who he was. And then, if the boy pleaded no, and it did not matter if the boy answered no or yes, he would turn him into a demon, as he could not stand the pain of losing, and of, the last fragment, the last memory of his daughter vanishing for good. And so, that night, Muzan, instead of striking through the mansion, he simply knocked on the door and shapeshifted himself into the form of an old man, and with a cane. It was a stormy night, so it was perfect, guy. So it was a perfect disguise, a perfect ruse to enter his home. Muzan came to the boy and said, "Can you please let me in your home, child? I am in pain. I would like you to please allow me to spend one night in your home, youngling," he said to the child, or the 15-year-old Hashira. The Hashira did not know what to say, but he simply said, "Sure, old man. Welcome to my home. If you need anything, and I simply call for me. Dinner already passed, and your bedroom is upstairs, second door to the right. Got it?" As the old man then Muzan shook his head and nodded in agreement. However, in the middle of the night, the 15-year-old Hashira awoke in panic. What's going on? What's happening? He wondered. And so, as he had heard a clattering noise in the dark, he'd awoken to see what was the problem. But what he saw wasn't what he was expecting. He saw a creature, a demon, or most likely, with red eyes, sharp teeth, and black hair, sitting in the living room. As the Hashira simply grabbed his blade, but did not unsheath it. As he walked to the living room, he knew if this demon did not attack him, then either he did not know he was in the home, or he simply wanted or he wanted to have a talk with the Hashira. And so the Hashira walked in front of the demon, who had a fedora, long black hair, red eyes, and this very nice black suit, who was sitting in his living room. He walked over to the demon and said, "Who are you, and what are you doing in my home, demon?" The demon simply said, "Greetings, child. I've wanted to meet you. I wish I could meet you on better circumstances, or at least with more of your clan around. Or at least with more of your clan around." Well, child, allow me to explain who I am. My name is Muzan Kibutsuji, the Demon King, the progenitor of all the demons, and of all demons, and the strongest of them all, at least for now, that is. As he'd then say, "In other words, let me tell you a tale. I once had a human daughter. Of course, this was when I was human. She had family, but I'm a human family, and she was murdered by demon slayers, thinking I'd turned her into a demon. Eventually, that clan grew long and large. The males, of course, died off to an unknown illness which almost killed me. But you are the only male alive. A great and gracious gift, I'll say. As if someone wanted you to live. Possibly for this moment, for this meeting to come to fruition. I may never know. But what I do know is that you are here. Here. And that I am here to speak with you. Miss Miyamoto Nicholas. Or should I say Kibutsuji Nicholas? As Nicholas would be, as the new, who named, and as the Black Sun Hashira, now known as Nicholas, would simply begin shaking, and with his katana in hand, but still not unsheathing it, as he'd then say, "There's no way. You are the Demon King? You? My ancestor, our clan's very progenitor, are the progenitor of the demons, of all the monsters and evil that I have had to face and kill for the protection of and for the revenge and the vengeance of my family? Why did you let them murder our family?" he said, as he grabbed his fists and began punching. And Muzan, he even sucked him right in the gut, and released a large one right in his gut, causing Muzan to even spill it out some blood. As he then said, "You are a monster. Why would you kill your own descendants? Huh? Why? Why? Why?" he yelled in rage. But Muzan simply said, I didn't have my clans I didn't have our clan murdered. It was demon slayers. What, you simply didn't catch on already? Oh, don't tell me you haven't caught on already. As he then said, "You're not a normal human, or at least you don't have the skills of one." Now, I don't know why or how you were born like this, with the immunity to our disease, or the disease which almost killed me. But what I do know is that I would never murder our clan. But also, you are not at the skill level of a normal human, like I said. You're stronger, faster, smarter, more skilled. You've defeated every human in their line of expertise with quite ease, haven't you? As Nicholas would then nod his head, as he would then say, "Demon slayers murdered our family." Think about it. They knew that you had more strength, speed, and skill and intelligence than any human around. Obviously, they thought you were a demon. They came to our clan to exterminate you and our family. They did such with no remorse, all because they viewed you as a monster. Whether it was that or a hate crime against me, I will never know. Hold on. As Muzan would then say, "The one thing I do know, though, is that demon slayers murdered our family." And you thought it was demons that murdered our family. Do you even think I would have demons murder our clan? My descendants? Your family? No, of course not. Why would I murder my own family? The only reminders of my sweet little girl. As he'd then say, "So, I've come here with an offer for you. Would you like to become a demon?" He said to Nicholas. Before Nicholas could even answer, Muzan could sense the hesitation on his face, as he'd then say, "Don't bother answering. I've already made up my mind." Hold on. As Muzan would then say, "I've already made my decision. I already let one slip through my fingers. I already made the terrible choice of keeping my daughter a human because she wished it. I will not give you the chance to deny I immortality." As he would then enlarge his claws to the length of katanas, or not katanas, but sharp blades, as he then would then slash them, not slash, inject them right at the back of Nicholas's neck. Hold on. As he would then inject extremely large amounts of blood into Nicholas's neck. From the back of Nicholas's neck. Nicholas, however, being as closely already blood related to Kibutsuji as possible, he did not faint nor fall over like a normal human would. Instead, he kept standing up while the change began to take place. His black demon slayer mark spread over his body. His hair became much longer and seemed to flow everywhere. His eyes became red and became crimson or ruby red with black slits. His teeth became fangs and his fingers became claws. Without even devouring a human, he was already unprecedentedly overpowered. But then he gained a demon blood art out of nowhere. He just moved his hand and it started to cut itself open. As what seemed as if a mountain of blood began to morph and began to drip from it. The blood then rose up and began to morph into various forms. As it then morphed into into over 100 giant spinning scythes of blood. Then, and Nicholas's leg cut itself, and then started kicking everywhere. The blood then lit itself on fire with a black and red flame. His other arm cut itself, and its blood turned into red and black lightning. His other leg cut itself, and from it, an ocean of blood, which then morphed into ginormous swords, which sprang up from anything which the blood touched. These swords were not like long swords. I mean, they were ginormous swords. The blades were the size of doors, or couches, piercing through the ground or whatever object was around them. From his very back, a ginormous amount of bones and bones began to form and pierce through. The bones then began to morph into various forms, whether it be giant arms, giant wings, ginormous friggin' tendril things, a giant shell. As then, out of Nicholas's mouth appeared to be a beam of red and black energy blasted out. Muzan then realized what the boy's blood demon art was, and it was an impressive one. The ability to create blood demon arts and use them with ease. And now for my OC's bio. New race, demon. New rank, demon prince. New titles. Master's pride and joy. Daki senpai. The most brutal and destructive creature to live. Immune to Wisteria poison, Nichiren blades, sun breathing, and the sun. Powers, enhanced black sun breathing. Basically, it's black sun breathing, but with like a crimson red flame and mixed in there as well. Hold on. Powers, enhanced black sun breathing, I already explained. Flight, that's quite self-explanatory. Size manipulation. Now, believe it or not, this is an ability that every demon and demon slayer has. Now, we all have seen this ability with Nezuko. She has the ability to make herself chibi form, or really small like a baby. However, due to the name of it being size manipulation, and she's able to become, a larger form of herself, it is within my theories that a demon has the ability to, and if it wants, has the ability to become the size of an atom, allowing it to basically pull an Ishiki from Boruto go inside of someone and basically control their body, or they could basically become Godzilla sized. Now, my question is, why the hell Muzan or any other demon hasn't friggin' done this? I have no clue. Please come up with your ideas as to why the hell they haven't done that. Maybe it's because it would be, and the author figured it would be too much of a impossibility for the demon slayers to defeat. Now, anyways, back to the powers. Speed of light regeneration. It's very self-explanatory. Godly kendo skills and shapeshifting. Basically, he can shapeshift into anything he wants, like Muzan, along with being able to, basically turn his body parts into a giant mess of organs, teeth, and eyes, like Muzan did in his female form. But, yeah. And, well, speed of light regeneration is just icing on the cake. Basically, it means he regenerates at the speed of the universe's speed limit. Yes, the speed of light is the universe's own speed limit. His blood demon art creation. Can make and use any blood demon art imaginable with ease, and keeps every power he makes. In other words, this ability is basically can stockpile infinitely, or in gamer terms, it has stack. Crush no one. Yandere, Upper Moon Zero Daki. Now this is my alternate universe, of course, and I'll get to why she's Upper Moon Zero later, and in the next part. Please tell me what you think of my OC, Nicholas Kibutsuji. Please like, share, comment, subscribe. I'll see you all later. Goodbye, and you know the rules, and so do I. Skadoosh, and say goodbye.